Welcome back for another video. Final video before the deadline. As always, every Friday we're going to dig into the biggest FPL questions and dilemmas sent in this week, and then all the key news from today's press conferences, and some final thoughts on my team for Gameweek 12. Before we get into it, I want to shout out a long-standing partner of the channel, fplgameweek.com, the best website to follow your mini leagues and get your live rank. So go to fplgameweek.com and enter your team ID or your team name, and then pick a league to track. You can tap on Season View to see useful information like which chips have been used by others in your league that you're competing against. Tap on your team or tap on anyone else's team, and there's a toggle for pitch view, which is a really easy way to view live points for all the players. They've added safety score as well, which is a great way to know how many points you need to secure a green arrow. You can even tap on a player to view a breakdown of their performances, including expected goals and assists for midfielders and forwards, and expected goals conceded for keepers and defenders. Last but not least, when you're in a league, you can tap statistics and you get a helicopter view of everyone's most selected captains, most owned players, effective ownership, and who the most transferred players are in your league, etc. It's fplgameweek.com, there's a link in the description. I know that loads of you use them already, but check them out, you won't regret it. And if you want an ad-free experience, you can support them on Patreon with the link below as well. First question from Adriana, Isak or Jackson? If we're going to talk forwards in that price range, then I think let's chuck Watkins in here as well. So Isak or Jackson or Watkins? Let's dissect them as much as possible. So in terms of price, Watkins is 9mil, Isak 8.5mil, Jackson 7.9mil. So Jackson wins on price. What about the fixtures then? Well, at a glance, Chelsea's is the best. They start with Leicester, and they've got Southampton in a few weeks' time as well. Watkins has got 3 home games in the next 4, including Southampton himself. While Isak's a great long term, particularly that run from Gameweek 15, Brentford, Leicester and Ipswich. What about underlying data then? Well, if we look at recent form, Isak's a clear winner. He's got 3 goals, 1 assist in his last 4, and his underlying numbers are superior as well, 3.42 XGI. Watkins is on 1.83 XGI, and Jackson 1.2. Isak wins on big chances, shots in the box, penalty area touches, etc. So if I was to rank these 3, it'd be Isak, then Watkins, then Jackson. With Watkins, if you look at the ticker below, there's a nice fixture swing in Gameweek 16 where you can hop off Watkins when he's away at Forest for Jackson's run of Brentford, Everton and Fulham. That all said, if I was recommending any of these 3, it would be Isak number 1. Kyle asks, who are the best cheap defenders? And his shortlist is Colwill, Hall, Dunk, Van Hecke, Konsa and Digne. I think I'd rule Dunk out because he's just returned to training and he's close to a return, but he seems slightly risky this week. And some fans have actually been calling for him to keep the Igor and Van Hecke centre-back partnership as well. Given that Igor's left-footed, it fits the system a bit better on paper. But Dunk is club captain, so he's unlikely to be dropped. Digne has been an FPL troll over the years, but there's no denying he's playing some of his best football right now. He got 3 assists against Italy over the break, he's got 3 assists in the league this season. He's top among all defenders with big chances created in the last 4 game weeks. Great clean sheet odds with 3 of the next 4. I think it's fair to say Gameweek 13 is the perfect entry point for the Brighton defence rather than this week, while this week Digne and Colwill are the better fits. If I was to rank all of these, I think I'd go Digne, Colwill, Konsa, Hall, Van Hecke and then Dunk. Now Hall did show a lot of promise in the pre-season, but then he started the campaign itself quite slowly and he's starting to show promise again now. I just wonder if he starts every single match as we head into the packed winter schedule now. Newcastle fans, let us know in the comments, is Hall nailed or not? He's their clear best left back, but Hull does have a few options there. So the ranking again would be Digne, Colwill, Konsa, Hall, Van Hecke and then Dunk. Rendell asks who to captain this week, Salah or Palmer? There was quite a few captain questions involving Haaland as well, so let's include him and then we'll rank them. It's one of the toughest weeks all season for captaincy, especially if you're in the fortunate position to have all 3. Many of us have got 2, in my case Salah and Palmer. Who's the best then? Well, let's state the obvious again. Salah's top for points this season, 7 double-digit returns in 11 games, and in his 8 years at Liverpool, it's his second highest ever points total at this stage of 107. He had 117 points at this stage in the 2021-22 season. Further to that, both Ramsdale and Bednarek are sidelined for Southampton. Salah's had the international break off, so a lot points towards Salah. If you like to use FPL review projections to help with decision making, then that also has Salah marginally ahead, followed by Haaland and then Palmer. Leicester have actually conceded more attempts in the box than any team this season, 144 conceded. It's got the feeling of a potential Palmer haul as well. But that City vs Spurs game also has potential to be an open one, which will suit Haaland as well. De Bruyne potentially back in the starting 11, and Van de Ven and Romero both out for Spurs. If I was to rank these 3, in my view it's Salah, then Haaland, then Palmer, projections aside. If you own all 3, then enjoy the points. Let's have a look at the scout selection for Gameweek 12, who have they gone with? How many players have you got? They've gone with Pickford, Gabriel, Konate, Hall, Salah, Palmer, Saka, Semenyo, Watkins, Isak and then Joao. They've also gone with Salah captain, Palmer vice. I'm a bit surprised they didn't go for Bruno over Saka given his flag and the uncertainty of a start. Though if Arteta says it's uncertain, then it's probably certain that he starts. I'm looking to buy one of Isak or Saka myself, which would get me up to 5 players on the scout team this week. What are the markets saying this week then? So Arsenal are the favourites for a clean sheet with a 50% chance, and then it's Liverpool with 42% against Southampton, followed by Villa, Newcastle, Fulham and Chelsea. Arsenal have got a lot of work to do in the coming weeks as far as clean sheets, or you'd imagine ownership will continue to slide as it has done. In terms of which games have got the most projected goals, it's Liverpool against Southampton with 2.65, and then it's City against Tottenham, and then it's Chelsea and Arsenal. Final question, and then we'll move on to the next segment. John Malkovich asks, Welbeck or Joao Pedro? I think this one's fairly straightforward, it's got to be Joao Pedro. He's 0.5 mil cheaper, he's on penalties, and he's more versatile positionally. We saw a couple times earlier in the season before his injury that Welbeck would come off a bit earlier, and Joao Pedro would push up to the number 9 role. Perhaps the injury record is a consideration with Joao Pedro, though historically it's not like Welbeck's been any better, so I'd say go for Joao Pedro. So before we move on, I can't not mention what happened last night. In case you missed it, I was at the Football Content Awards last night, and to my surprise I won. You can see the genuine surprise on my face in this video. It was a really stacked category, up against so many incredible channels that I know a lot of you watch as well, like Andy, Harry, Raptor, Mate and so on. They all would have been deserved winners. It was a proud moment though to go up and collect the award. It's been another crazy year for the channel, between 200,000 subscribers, the Focal tattoo, launching the app and obviously winning at the awards. I thanked all of you in my speech and thank you once again. So let's skim through all the key news from today's press conferences. Pretty much all of us have got flag players, so is it good news on those players? Liverpool's press conference was the first one today, and Slot said that Trent still hasn't trained with the team due to injury. Alisson and Jota remain sidelined as well. Unless you've got good coverage, it's looking like Trent's a sell now. After Southampton they've got Man City home, then Newcastle away, and then some good fixtures again. My top replacement for Trent would be Gabriel, unless going down to a cheaper defender like one in that segment earlier affords you a big upgrade somewhere else with the extra 2.5 mil. For Man City, both Stones and Akanji trained good yesterday, Pep said, and he also said that Ake is coming back training, so some returnees at the back, which is good. Ruben Diaz still out, however. Foden and Grealish also been picture training this week. That Kovacic injury could equate to a Lewis start in midfield though, with Walker potentially getting the nod in right back up against Son. Might be wishful thinking as a Lewis owner, because he can play the likes of Stones and Akanji in that role alongside Gundogan. Tottenham have seriously got their work cut out for them away at the Etihad. As we touched on earlier, both first choice centre backs Van de Ven and Romero are out for Spurs, so I guess we'll see something like Davies and Dragozin in centre back. It's looking very good on paper if you've got Haaland this week. Good news if you're one of those looking at the Villa defence this week, or if you own them already. Eze has trained, but he's not quite ready this game week, so he's going to miss the trip to Villa Park. Richards and Lerma are back from injury, and Hughes returns from suspension this week. Potentially good news, but I mean, who really knows anymore? Arteta says that Saka took part in training today. He said that Trossard, Saka, Rice and Calafiori are all training with us. So perhaps Saka, Rice and Calafiori all start against Nottingham Forest this game week. White's out for a while, of course, so it could be Timber and Calafiori in fullback. Finishing up with some final thoughts on my team. This week my team is Raya in goal, Vardy, Gabriel and Lewis in defence, Salah, Johnson, Palmer and Bumo and Semenyo in midfield, Cunha and Strand Larsen up top. I've got 3.5 mil, which is exact money for Johnson to Saka, so that's my planned transfer. What I really don't like is the persistent uncertainty of Arsenal players coming from Arteta. Like, if you've got players flagged, he's going to give nothing away. Like, Saka could be completely fit and ready, or he could have 2 broken legs right now, and Arteta would either way say he's touch and go. I mean, Zinchenko just came out and he said, I've seen him tell injured players to come on the team bus and walk into the dressing room with their wash bag to put other managers off the scent. So Arteta says Saka trained, but you just don't know of Arteta. I'm getting trust issues from these press conferences. The other thing I could do is sell Wood or Strand Larsen for Isak. I'm reluctant to sell Wood when he's home to Ipswich in Game Week 13. And although his fixtures do turn a bit, he could quite easily tick along, so it's tempting to keep him long term. The only issue of selling Strand Larsen instead of Wood is the route to get Johnson to Saka would mean something like Porro down to a 4.5 mil defender, so maybe someone like Dunk or Van Heck works, and then selling Mbumo for someone like Rodgers. It's not awful, but my point is I guess Mbumo could quite as easily tick along with the returns, even once the fixtures turn a bit. So as it stands, it's Johnson to Saka, that's the plan. If not, Strand Larsen to Isak. Bit of a fail if I do buy Strand Larsen and immediately sell him, but I've got no problem doing that in FPL if it makes sense. I mean, buying him worked out last week anyway, gained a good 6 points from that. Thanks very much for watching. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, make sure you're subscribed. Obviously check out FPL Gameweek as well, the link below. We're going to be live here for a deadline stream in the morning. See you all then.